Good evening. Welcome to Illinois Central Christian School kindergarten graduation. We have parents here who went to our kindergarten. We should have made a bigger deal of this. This was our 25th year as a school, and we didn't even tell anybody. We should have at least had a party, you know. So this is the 25th graduating class kindergarten. And I had I had been the pastor already at that time 15 years, been here 40 years now. And we were delightfully debt-free. Well, that never happened again. My pastor friends would say to me, "Are you out of your mind starting a school?" And I knew I wasn't, but there are times when I did doubt that just a little bit. But I'm thrilled. God has been so good. And I want to begin with a word of prayer. Thank you for entrusting your children to our school. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for these parents and these students who have been wonderful to have here, who have worked hard, studied hard, cooperated. They've grown. They've grown in their spiritual lives and in their academic minds, and physically they have grown. I pray that everything we do tonight will please you very much, and would you be a blessing to these families this evening? In Jesus' name, amen.
Hi. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Miss Brenton, and I had the privilege of being their teacher this year. And so we are so glad you are here. And we're just going to give you a little glimpse tonight into our classroom and some of the different things that we do in our classroom. And the very first thing we do every morning is we start with the pledge, which we want to do tonight. And we would like you to stand and join us if you would. Please keep in mind, they talk slow, so they're going to go slow. So if you can stay with them, that would be great, but we're going to try. All right. Hand over your heart. Adele. Ready? Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Y'all may be seated. So we learned the pledge to the flag. They learned then the pledge to the Christian flag, and then we learned the pledge to the Bible. So it took us about 3 months because it took about a month to learn the next one. But once we got to the beginning of November, I mean, they were ready to go. Okay, let's do all three. And so I was, that's a lot of memorizing, especially right at the beginning of a school year. So they did very good with that. And then after we did our pledge, we would usually do our calendar. And our calendar, we learned many different things with our calendar, even though they probably did not realize they were actually learning things while we're deciding, what day it is, what month is it, what number do I need next. Some of my calendar thingies, I don't know what to call them, would be in a pattern. Some of them were not, but some of them would be in a pattern, and so we were learning patterns. Some of them, we were guessing what color was going to be next, because I had some that I just wasn't in a pattern, and so they're like, what do you think? What do you think? And so it was kind of fun, and we learned a little bit of the ordinal numbers when we did our calendar, because we don't say today is May 1, we say it's May 1st. So they were starting to learn ordinal numbers before we even had it in our curriculum. But they did learn the days of the week, and they did learn the months of the year, and so they're going to recite those for you right now. So let's do days of the week. Ready? Go.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
And the months of the year. January.
February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, and
November.
December.
All right. They have a little song that they learned both of those with, so sometimes they're like, start to sing the song. I'm like, no, I want you just to say it, but they do know the song very well. So, and then after we would do our calendar, we would usually do some music. Some of it was just fun songs. Some of it was Bible songs that would go along with our Bible stories that we were doing. Some of it we had to learn songs for chapel because about once a month we got to get up and lead songs in chapel. So they would learn two new songs usually by the time our turn for chapel rolled around. And so they would get up, they would sing their songs, and about the third time they would say one of their Bible verses also in chapel. So they had practiced saying them in front of everybody. So they're going to sing some songs for you today. They're used to having the K4 sing with them. And so these four are kind of a little gun shy right now with the singing, but we're going to see how it goes. But they do know them, but we'll see how it goes. So the first one they're going to sing for you is Zacchaeus. Ready, go.
Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he. He climbed up in the sycamore tree, the Lord he wanted to see. And as our Savior passed that way, he looked up in the tree, and he said, Zacchaeus, you come down, for I'm going to your house today. For I'm going to your house today.
Good job. Rhythm is not their forte, but that's okay. They were happy. All right, the next one they're going to sing is Good News. Ready?
Good news, Christ died for me. Good news, Christ died for me. Good news, I'm saved eternally. That's wonderful, extra good news.
All right. And then the last one, we sang this one at the spring concert, so if you were here for that, but they really liked the song. They're like, please, Miss Brent, can we sing that one too? And I'm like, okay. So they're going to sing Great and Mighty for you.
Great and mighty is the Lord our God. Great and mighty is he. Great and mighty is the Lord our God. Great and mighty is he. Lift up the banner, let the anthems ring. Praises to our mighty King. Great and mighty is the Lord our God. Great and mighty is he.
All right. And then we started our day with Bible. That was our first subject. And our Bible curriculum, the first semester, we're usually in the Old Testament. So we go through most of the patriarchs. We do, we start with creation with Adam and Eve, and then we'll go into Abraham and into Jacob and into Joseph. And that basically takes most of the first semester. Christmas, we start with the Christmas story. And then all of second semester, we're learning about the life of Christ. So we learned a lot this year about faith and what a miracle is. And they got that down. And but we also, each week, we had verses that we had to memorize. And this year in the K-5 curriculum, they do verses for every letter in the alphabet. So we had our ABC verses. And then we did some extra ones. We did some Christmas verses at Christmas time. We had an Easter verse. And here at the end of for the past 6 weeks, we have been learning a whole chapter in Psalms. And so they're going to attempt to do it for you. Their last verse in the chapter, they said today as their memory verse. So that one should be fresh in their mind, but I'm not too sure how good they'll remember the others. But we're going to give it a try. They can do it. So are you ready? All right, let's go.
Psalms 23, 1 through 6. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
He maketh me.
No evil.
He maketh me.
He maketh lie down in the green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul.
that's a lot to learn, and all those verses are a lot longer than their normal verses they have with their curriculum. So I was really pretty pleased at every week they were able to learn them. And so putting it together was a little tricky, but they did it. I'm very proud of them. After Bible, we would work a little bit with poetry, and we would memorize some poems throughout the year. They're going to do one for you about the little turtle. Ready? Go.
Little Turtle by Rachel Lindsay. I have a little turtle that lived in a box. He swam in a puddle. He climbed on the rocks. He snapped at the mosquito. He snapped at the flea. He snapped at the minnow. And he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito. He caught the flea. He caught the minnow. But he didn't catch me.
I love that poem. All right. Guys, you can sit down. You can sit down. You can sit down. Mateo, sit down. All right. So, numbers this year, they learn a lot of different things in their math curriculum. And like I mentioned before, we learned ordinal numbers, and they used it a lot, mainly with the calendar, because that's where I would reinforce it. So they learned those. We learned patterns. We learned about the numbers family and counting and how to count and how to figure out what family a number was in by what it started with. They learned how to tell time. They really good on right on the hour and half hour. 1:15. The 15s are still a little shaky, but and we didn't do 45. That's not. They'll get that next year in first grade. But we made a clock, and so we would do drills. I'd say, tell me or show me 3:30, and so they would move their hands and get to 3:30, and they'd show it to me, and I'm like, okay. Sometimes they forgot which hand went with which, so 3:30 turned into 6:15, but they were pointed to the right numbers, just the wrong hands. But they were getting pretty good at here at the end of the year. Then they would look at my clock and they'd say, hey, it's 11 o'clock. Or is it recess time? And I said, well, when it gets to 10 o'clock, that would be recess time. And right at 10 o'clock, they say, hey, it's recess time. I'm like, okay. So they were starting to catch on that a certain time we would do this and a certain time we would do that. So they were starting to catch on with that. We did adding, and we dabbled a little bit in subtracting here at the end of the year. They did pretty good with that if they used their fingers or if they used counters, but it was still a little confusing. But the curriculum was kind of confusing because they give them, the paper, there'd be 6 math addition problems, and then they put a subtraction at the very end, and they're so used to adding, and they bring it to me, and I'm like, you might want to look at that last one. Is that the same as all the others? And they're like, oh, and then go back and change it. So I started reminding them, look at the sign, make sure you're doing the right one with the sign. We did story problems also. We have a little rhyme that we learned when it came to money, because we kind of kept getting confused. Which one was 5 cents? Which one was 10 cents? How much was a penny again? And so we learned a little rhyme, and Liam's gonna come, and he's gonna tell you the little rhyme we learned about our money.
A penny is 1 cent. A nickel is 5. A dime is 10 cents. A quarter 25.
Good job. We learned, the first way we learned to count besides ones is we learned to count by tens. And so Emmy is going to come and count by tens for you to 100.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100.
Jackson's going to come and count by fives to 100.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100.
Good job. As we were practicing the last couple days, he would always skip 90 and 95. And I'm like, you can't forget the 90s. That's important. And so I'm glad he remembered them. We also learned to count by twos to 50. And this one was a little bit trickier. But Mateo is pretty good at it. So he's going to come and count by twos to 50.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50.
Good job. So, they're all pretty good in math. That was kind of one of the stronger subjects that they had. One of the most important things, though, that we learn in kindergarten is how to read. And when we start kindergarten, we got to start by learning what sound each letter makes, and then we got to put them together. And then let's throw in some long vowels, too, to make everything just a little confusing. But they did pretty good with them. They loved marking vowels. And so they did really well with marking vowels. And then I threw in the special sounds, and they have to circle those, and then it got a little confusing. Like, they'd circle a vowel, and I'm like, but what's the vowels? And they'd rattle them. What are the vowels? What are the vowels? A-E-I-O-U. Okay, A-E-I-O-U. They know them. They didn't practice that. I just threw one of them. But then they started to put them together, and then they started learning words, and some of them really struggled with it at the beginning, and we were going really slow through those readers. But as they kept practicing them, it started to click in that head, and the reading started to pick up speed, and it was just, we didn't get as far in the readers this year as I wanted to, but they do have a very good foundation. So, I know when they go to first grade, they're going to do some review a little bit at the beginning. It'll pick right back up, and then they'll just keep on going. But reading's important. I mean, reading can just open your mind to many things. And I know my mother, up until about her last couple months of life, the one place she would go to would be the library. And when she got to the point where she couldn't go, she would send me. She had a bag. It was her library bag. Library card was in the pocket. She's like, I need something more to read. And I'd bring her back like 5 or 6 books, and she would read them. And it opens your mind to many possibilities, and you can learn some things, too, from them. So, but a couple of them are going to try reading for you tonight. And Liam, you're going to go first. And he's going to read about a camping trip.
Dad and Nate like to camp. Nate helps Dad set up the tent. Dad makes a fire. Keep back, Nate. The fire is hot. Poke the hot dog. Nate. Get it hot. Eat it. Nate, Dad, and Nate ate the hot dog.
Very good. Good job. Mateo's going to come and read about a cake.
The cake Jan will make a cake. The cake will bake and get big. Jan will take the cake to Miss Deal.
Good job. There are other subjects that we touched on in kindergarten. We talked for the first quarter, we had a unit on community helpers. We took a trip to a homestead where we had a ball we saw pigs and cows and chickens galore, sheep, some goats. They played in the dirt. At first I'm like, why are you playing in the dirt? And I'm like, many of them probably don't get a chance just to play in dirt. I mean, they had nothing to play with. They're just all digging in the dirt. And I'm like, all right, kids will be kids. Let them play in the dirt. That won't hurt them. And then we had a unit on America, our country, where we learned about some of our founding fathers and about our country. And we learned about what state we lived in. And we also touched on, we have a science book that we worked on second semester where it talked about God's plan for various, we talked about ocean animals, we talked about farm animals, we talked about God's plan for me, and God's plan for the plants, and covered a lot of different things with that. That was kind of fun. We even dabbled a little bit in Spanish. Sorry, don't judge me. Unfortunately, that didn't last very long because we needed to take that time to work on other things like our phonics. And so I'm hoping next year I can do more with that. But they did have fun with it. They were learning words and we had little quizzes. Sometimes I had flashcards, and so we were going through them. So they liked learning them. It's just we ran out of time. And so hopefully next year we can pick that up and go a little bit farther with that. But they got to see and hear and experience a lot of different things, and so we really had fun. But they earned some awards, and so we're going to give out some awards to them tonight with some of these different subjects. The first award I have is the Bible Memory Award. Now, I think I counted, they did actually 33 verses this year. There's a couple weeks in there where we only, like Thanksgiving week, we only had 2 weeks of school, so we didn't do a verse that week. When we came back from Christmas break, I think we only had a couple days. So, if we had a short week, I didn't do a verse because that's too hard for them. They need a lot of repetition. So 26 verses because of the alphabet, and then the extra verses that we stuck in. I think I counted yesterday. They did 33 throughout the year. And I have 2 students who said all of those on time. And so they are going to get the Bible Memory Award. The first one is Jackson Hutchins. And the other one is Mateo Campo. Now, like I said, reading was a bit of a struggle at the beginning, and so it's kind of hard to pick with them who to give these awards to because, they all excelled in their own way, and they all improved in their own way. But my best reader, I think, was Emmy Brunsman. And my most improved was Jackson Hutchins. The other thing we did was handwriting, and they learned how to write in cursive. And I know that is like ancient art form. If you go to public schools, they don't know what cursive is and they don't teach it anymore. And I keep having people, why do you teach that? And I'm like, because you're still going to need to know it. You still got to write your name as a signature. That's the legal, you know. So they learned handwriting, and at first it was rough because it was new. But my best handwriter was Mateo Ocampo. He has some beautiful handwriting, so I hope he keeps that as he grows. But it was really nice. My most improved was Emmy Brunsman. All right, math, like I said, they liked math, but I had one that when we started addition, he kind of amazed me, and I'm just like, I don't know how he figured them out so quickly, but he had a system in his head, and he could just whip them right off. And so my best mathematician is Liam Phillips. And my most improved was Jackson Hutchins. Okay, for the honor roll is given to students that finish the year with all A's or B's. And I had two of those, Mateo Ocampo and Liam Phillips. And then high honor roll is when you have all A's. And I had one on the high honor roll, and that was Emmy Brunsman. The next award, our PA award, is given to those who go through the entire year with no demerits. And I'll be honest, I wrote a lot of demerits this year, and this is the first year I've ever written demerits. When I had to do it the first time, I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I had to go ask one of the other two, how do I do this? How do I put it in the computer? What? How? Because I've never had to do it before. I had a rambunctious class this year, and so sometimes that was the only thing I could do to get them to calm back down. And but there is one who made it through the whole year without demerits, and that was Emmy Brunsman. And the last award we have is the Citizenship Award. And the Citizenship Award is awarded to that student who displays an attitude and of cooperation, and who generally is not one of those where I'm always saying, do this, do that, stop doing that, stop doing that, stop doing that, because they're the ones that want to learn. They want to learn, and they encourage others to also do what is the right thing. And my Citizenship Award this year is going to Mateo Ocampo. All right, get your cameras out. This is it, okay? You need to stand. Huh? Oh, they're in the kitchen. Yeah. Pastor Courier. I would like to present the following students who have completed the kindergarten program and are now ready to receive their diplomas. When they get their diploma, they're going to walk over to that arch. If you want to get up and walk over and take a picture, because they'll stand there for a minute so you can get it, feel free to do that. Okay, Emerson Grace Brunsman. Jackson Thomas Hutchins. Mateo Sebastian Ocampo. Liam Walker Phillips. You can tell who's the character of the class, right? All right. I would like to present to you the 2025 kindergarten graduating class of Illinois Central Christian School. You may move your tassels. All right. We do have one more award we want to give out because my job is impossible for me to do without the help of parents and grandparents. I could not do my job the way that I feel I should without their help and support. So we would like to present a token to you of our thankfulness for your help with us throughout the year. So when I call your name, if you will stand up, they're going to bring you a flower and mom and dad, and then you need to leave with your child right now, okay? And they're gonna go back to the assembly room and we will all join you shortly. So the parents of Emmy Brunsman. Emmy, leave it. Oh, thank you. She doesn't like to wait on anything. The parents of Jackson Hutchins. The parents of Mateo Campo. And Gadiel. And the parents of Liam Walker. We do cordially invite you to Assembly Room number 1, where we have some refreshments waiting back there. Each of the students has a table set up in there to display kind of who they are, and some of those are really fabulous. They did a great job. So go on back there, say your congratulations, look at their pictures, fellowship a little, and I thank you for coming to our graduation. Thank you. You're dismissed.
Amazing.